Hi everyone, this is Mr. Park. I'm starting Noah's Ark Broadcast. The Noah's flood was a tremendous incident which actually happened in the history of mankind. The people of Noah's time fell from grace and were corrupted so much that God was lamented about it. Genesis chapter 6, verse 5, and the Lord saw that the sin of man was great on the earth, and that all the thoughts of his heart were evil. And the Lord had sorrow because he had made man on the earth, and grief was in his heart. God decided to perish all living creatures by a flood. Verse 7, and the Lord said, I will take away man, whom I have made from the face of the earth, even man and beast and that which goes on the earth, and every bird of the air, for I have sorrow for having made them. People left at Noah building an ark on the top of a mountain. They fingered at him about teaching the truth. People just ate, drank, earned money, married, and lived their own lives leftly. Jesus Christ, who came to this world, said that the people before the Noah's flood are like this. Matthew chapter 24, verse 37. And worse were the day of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. 38 verse. Because as in those days, before the overflowing of the water, they were feasting and taking wives and getting married till the day when Noah went into the ark. The current world is the same as the world before the Noah's flood. Corruption and misery of man is getting worse and worse due to the sin of man. Why are people not happy, even though they have plenty of money and have fully developed science and civilization in their hands compared to the past? This is due to their sins, which cover the entire world sickly with misfortune and pain. This is why Noah's Ark Broadcast will let you know about the knowledge of salvation and word of truth. Not all will be saved, even if they listen to the word of truth. There will be people who surrender after listening, and there will be people who come to Jesus Christ, who symbolize the ark of salvation with modesty after listening. This is out of my area. Nevertheless, I pray that some get faced with the grace to get saved from the unhappiness around the world, pain, misery of death, by listening to the good news of salvation and word of truth. First of all, I would like to talk about the corruption of man. As Genesis chapter 6, 5 verse, all the thoughts of his heart were evil for man. Do you think I am saying this too negatively? Then please listen carefully. We can find out that the rotten heart of man is the root of everything when we trace all the evil behavior of man. Now the spirit of man is in complete chaos, even though it was ardent and honest in every function. The heart of man, which fit the heart of God, is now the opposite, and every plan is always evil. Intelligence is polluted thoughts are evil, will become stubborn, and feelings change to be impulsive. Yes, every plan and mold of thoughts of man became evil. Mind of man always makes something up. However, it cannot make any single thing good. Some of you can think like this. At least something good is mixed in the mind? The answer is no. The mind of man is only evil. There is nothing good and true to be given to God in the mind of man. We can find evidence in the Bible, the word of truth. Romans chapter 3, verse 12. They have all gone out of the way. There is no profit in any of them. There is not one who does good, not so much as one. Verse 13. Their throat is like an open place of death. With their tongue they have said what is not true. The poison of snakes is under their lips. Verse 14. Whose mouth is full of curses and bitter word. Verse 15. Their feet are quick in running after blood. Verse 16. Destruction and trouble are in their ways. Verse 17. And of the way of peace they have no knowledge. What is this saying? It means that the throat of man is like a rotten and stinky graveyard. The tongue is skilled in lies and tricks. Even husband and wife who confess love and rub their flesh and dip together fight with their lips with poison and curses and kill each other. The word of truth says that this way of life is the road of destruction and suffering without peacefulness. Yes, this is the corruption of man. Second, I would like to talk about the misery of man. Man was degraded due to sin, so man has to face misery, which goes through all unhappiness and suffering. All unhappiness and suffering of man's life are the fruit of sin. Man does not know satisfaction even if everything is plentiful, so is misfortunate. Not only misfortunate, but cannot get out of vanity and emptiness. This is why man gets addicted to work, alcohol, smartphone, sex, game, and trouble. Let's hear what the Bible says about this kind of life. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 8. All things are full of weariness. Man may not give the story. The eye has never enough of its seeing, or the ear of its hearing. The eye has never enough of its seeing, or the ear of its hearing. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 10. He who has a love for silver never has enough silver, or he who has love for wealth, enough profit. This again is to no purpose. Man cannot be fulfilled by what the immortal world gives. This is the word that the spirit of man is very big and arrogant, so it cannot be fulfilled by what the immortal world gives. What does the Bible about life? It says, Psalm chapter 90, verse 11. Who has knowledge of the power of your laws, or who takes note of the weight of your passion? However, a man lives, all is trouble and sorrow. All is trouble and sorrow. Yes, life is troublesome. Studying hard for entrance examination from elementary school to university and going back and forth to school and institute. You suffered from day to night. After getting a job, we went through trouble for such a long time, getting married, giving birth, raising and educating your children. Sorrow and tears is one you could not show your husband or wife or children or friends in your struggling life. The truth in the Bible that the only thing proud in your life is trouble and sorrow makes us not our head. Therefore, living a wrong life does not seem entirely happy. My old mother is over 90 years old, but still struggles to live day by day. She moans because of pain in many parts of her body. She has a hard time wrapping up her life, fighting against loneliness. I often hear her crying alone and suffering, saying that she is giving pressure to her son and daughter-in-law, living at her son's house. Like this, man is a sorrowful being, born with a crying sound and dies with a mourning sound. This is not all. There are plenty of miserable things in the world which we cannot understand. Why does evil do well? And why do evil men oppress those who are more righteous than them? Where has all the dishonesty and tricky during business come from? Where has all the betrayals, lies, and tricks in relationships come from? All has come from the sin of man. Why are sons and daughters undutiful to their parents and act like stabbing their parents' hearts with knives rather than having their elderly parents lean on them? It might look like money matters, but it is actually due to misery of life caused by corruption of the mind. Why are workers insincere to their boss or owner? Where has all the betrayals and schemes and division in relationship and countries come out? Moreover, where has all the pain caused by illness of the body, famine and war, rage of Corona-19 disease, getting worse and worse come out? These are all the miserable results caused by the sin of man. Sin makes the body old and destroy health and eventually leads to death. How good will it be if death is the end? Do you think that you can forget about the worries and hardship on earth if you die? The answer is no. Death is not the end. Another world will take place. The word of truth say. Hebrew. There are plenty of miserable things in the world. Hebrew chapter 9, verse 27. And because by God's law, death comes to men once, and after that they are judged. It does not end by one death of man. Man will stay in front of God and will be judged. It is one out of the other. Will you be blessed eventually, or will you be cursed by the punishment of hell? There is nothing then there is nothing other than this. It is very painful to suffer and suffer in this land due to corruption and misery of man. However, it is even more painful, which cannot be described by words, to suffer from punishment of hell after getting judged after death. Man has spirit, unlike animals. How can the spirit be saved? People are not interested in their spirit getting salvation. People do not know about their spirit getting salvation. Therefore, we need to listen to and know about the good news of salvation and the knowledge of salvation. Man can be saved only with the knowledge of salvation. Man can be saved only with the knowledge of salvation, like eyes which can see only with right existing. Listen carefully. Salvation cannot be gained by learning about the knowledge of salvation. However, it is hard to be saved if there is no knowledge of salvation. Going forward, I will let you know about the knowledge of salvation and the word of truth, and will also let you know how you can be led to salvation through Noah's Ark Broadcast. Thank you. I wish you the grace of Christ. I wish you the grace of Christ.